Welcome back to another digital SAT prep video. Today we are diving deep into words in context questions, a common but tricky question type on the digital SAT's English section. If you're someone who often gets confused by the meaning of a word in a passage or feels unsure about how to choose between two similar sounding words in the options, don't worry, you're not alone. Many students face difficulty when attempting words in context questions because they rely too much on what they think a word means rather than how it is being used in the passage. This leads to mistakes and lost points. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple step-by-step strategy to tackle these questions easily. We will discuss how to break down the sentence, understand the context, and eliminate tricky answer choices. Plus, I will share some real SAT examples and explain exactly how you can avoid common pitfalls. So grab your notebook and let's get started on mastering the words in context questions on the digital SAT. Now, what is this type of question? Like, what is words in context? This is basically the question type where you have to identify the word out of all the options that fits the best in the context given in the text, right? Understand, we are looking for contextual meaning, we are not looking for a dictionary meaning. So you don't have to know what a word means with in terms of dictionary. You have to know how that word fits in the context that's been set in the text. Now, whatever the meaning the text is trying to convey, we have to basically reinforce that same meaning with the help of a word given in the options to us. Now let's understand how to identify that we are dealing with a words in context question type. These two are the common question stems that you will find for this question type. Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? As used in the text, what does the word X most nearly mean? So either you'll have to look for the word, the blank space would be given and you'll have to choose the word out of all the options, or the word would be already given to you in the text and you have to see which out of all the options matches the best in that particular location. Now let's understand the strategy that we need to use in order to attempt this question type. The first step is obviously read the question stem. When you know that you're dealing with the words in context question type, you will be able to know what is the next thing that you need to do. Spot the keywords. When you're reading the text, you need to spot the keywords which can direct you towards the right word that you want to pick up for the blank space, right? There are going to be hint words or keywords in the whole text that will take you towards the right option that you should be picking up. Now, before you jump to the options, you should always pre-think as to what that word can be in that blank space. It can be a word that you can come up with, or it can be even a phrase that you can come up with that fits well in that blank space. Once you have that clear understanding of what you require in that blank space, you can go ahead with option elimination, right? You can eliminate all the options that doesn't match with your understanding. You can eliminate the options that are contradictory to the context set in the text. You can also eliminate the options that are exactly the same in meaning, because the answer can only be one, right? So you can always eliminate options which are exactly the same in meaning. We will be going through all these steps. We will be implementing these steps in the questions that we take later in the video. Let's go ahead and take up the first question, which is going to be of an easy difficulty level. Alright, so we have the first question here, which is of an easy difficulty level. The first step will always be to read the question stem. The mention of most logical and precise word or phrase tells us that we are dealing with a words in context type. Now let us go ahead and read the text to understand, to identify the keywords which can take us to this particular blank space, which can give us an understanding of what this blank space should consist of. So let's start reading. Artist MD's intricate coiled baskets are. So we are talking about this person's coiled baskets, intricate and coiled baskets, being something, right? Are blank, sweet grass and palmetto palm. Now, whatever this word is, I still don't know exactly what I can use to fill this blank with. But one thing I know is that we are talking about these baskets, right? Let's read ahead. Following a G technique that originated in West Africa, D skillfully winds a thin palm front around a bunch of sweetgrass with the help of a sewing bone to create the basket signature look that no factory can reproduce. Now, one few things that we have to see over here is what are the keywords here? What can really indicate what this word should be like, right? We are talking about a technique over here. This is the technique that we are talking about. The mention of sewing bone, And then the mention of signature look that no factory can reproduce this, it says something about the blank space. These keywords tell us that we are talking about MD's traditional basket making process, emphasizing that our work is handmade using natural materials and an old technique that cannot be reproduced by factories. Based on this understanding, we need to find a word that explains the relationship between the baskets and the materials used. The sentence is trying to explain that these baskets are made from or constructed from sweet grass and palmetto palm. So the word we are thinking of is something like handmade or crafted from these materials. This is the context that's been set in the whole text. With this understanding, we'll go to the option elimination stage. Now let's look at the first option, indicated by. Now this phrase doesn't make sense in the context of physical basket making. Baskets aren't indicated by materials, they are made from materials. So this is illogical. This is one reason how you could eliminate your option, something that is simply illogical. It's not making sense at all. Now B says handmade from. Now this is definitely the one that makes sense over here because the whole text was about the baskets being handmade. It logically fits because it explains that the baskets are made from sweetgrass and palmetto palm. The rest of the sentence explains the technique, so it supports the answer. But let's go ahead and eliminate C and D as well. Represented by. Baskets are again not represented by materials. This option doesn't make sense. It's not logical to say that they are represented by materials. Again, this option is illogical. There you go. Now the last option is collected with. Now this would mean that the baskets are used to collect the materials, which isn't what the sentence is trying to say. It is made out of those materials, it's not meant to collect those materials. So this is out because again, it's not relevant to the context that's been said. So I wouldn't say this is illogical, but this is not relevant. So this is irrelevant as per the context set in the text. Now with this, we have the correct option, that is choice B. You can always cross-check if you have picked up the right answer by substituting the blank with the option that you picked up, right? So it says, artist MD's intricate coil baskets are handmade from sweetgrass and palmetto palm. It makes complete sense. So very clearly, we have choice B as the correct option. Now we'll go ahead and take up the next difficulty level, that is medium difficulty level question on words in context. So now we have a medium difficulty level question on words in context. The question stem says, as used in the text, what does the word assumed most nearly mean? So now in the text, we don't have a blank space. We do have the word and we have to find which out of these options would make the most sense in place of assumed. Let us go ahead and read the text now. So this is the blurb. Never miss out on reading the blurb. Let's read this. The following text is adapted from N's 1844 short story, Drown's wooden image. Drown, a young man, is carving a wooden figure to decorate the front of a ship. So the text is going to be talking about this person Drown, and this person is basically carving a wooden figure to decorate the front of a ship. Let's go ahead and read the text. Day by day, the work assumed greater precision. So we are talking about the work that he's doing, right? The carving a wooden figure, the carving of the wooden figure. And this work is something to do with greater precision and settled its irregular and misty outline into distinct grace and beauty, right? So again, it's simply explaining what this work was like. It required greater precision, settled its irregular and misty outline in distinct grace, so still polishing the work that this person is doing. The general design was now obvious to the common eye. Now what's happening? Let's focus on the keywords over here. The mention of day by day the work assumed greater precision, settled its irregular and misty outline into distinct grace and beauty, and that it was obvious to the common eye. What are these phrases trying to tell us? It's trying to tell us that the wooden carving slowly gained a more precise and graceful form over time, becoming more clearly defined and more clearly visible for that reason. Correct? Now, if I have to pre-think what the word assumed can be substituted with, it can very well be said that, the work gradually took on precision as the carving progressed. It happened gradually, right? So it took on precision. The meaning we are looking for is a word that suggests that the work is slowly becoming more detailed and refined. This is the context that's been set in the whole text. Now, with this understanding, we'll move on to the option elimination stage. Okay, acquired. Now, this means gained, this word means gained. So this means that gained or took on. It fits perfectly with the context because the work gained or acquired greater precision over time makes sense. Right? Again, but I'm going to hold on to it. I will still have to go ahead and eliminate all the other options. Acknowledged. Now, acknowledged means something that is recognized or accepted. This doesn't make sense in the context because it doesn't fit with how a carving progresses, right? The text is about how the carving progresses. We aren't talking about its recognition here, right? For that reason, I'm going to eliminate this. This is irrelevant. It's not about getting a recognition for the whole process, it's about how it was happening. Let's go to C now. Imitated. This means copied. It doesn't fit because the text is talking about the work developing its own precision, not copying from something, right? There's no such copying happening over here in the text. There was no such mention. So again, C is out because this is also irrelevant. Now D says speculated. This means guessed, right? Something to do with guessing or theorizing. This has nothing to do with how the carving took shape and gained clarity again, right? It's not about how it was happening gradually, right? So there was no guessing or anything to do with this. Again, this is irrelevant. A is the correct option. So if you get your text correct, if you understand the context correctly, you will be able to identify the correct option easily. Now let's simply put this word acquired in place of assumed and see if it makes sense. Day by day, the work acquired greater precision. It makes complete sense. Right? Acquired greater precision. It makes no logical sense to say that the work acknowledged greater precision or the work imitated greater precision or the work speculated greater precision. With this, we have a very clear answer, that is choice A. And now we'll be moving on to the higher difficulty level question. So now we have a difficult level question on words in context. The question stem says which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase. So the mention of this tells us that we are dealing with a words in context question type. Let us go ahead and read the text now. In studying the use of external stimuli to reduce the itching sensation caused by an allergic histamine response. So what is happening over here? Somebody is studying the use of external stimuli to reduce the itching sensation caused by something. Who is that somebody? That's Lewis. This person, Ward, and colleagues found that while harmless applications of vibration or warming can provide a temporary distraction, such blank stimuli actually offer less relief than a stimulus that seems less benign, like a mild electric shock. Now, what is the mention of this harmless application of vibration or warming trying to say? These are being compared to something else. This is being compared to something. Temporary distraction over here shows that these stimuli are not permanent or fully effective. And this bit where it says actually offer less relief than a stimulus that seems less benign, like a mild electric shock, this tells us here we need to understand that the comparison implies that these stimuli, while seemingly harmless, are less effective than something that is perceived as stronger or invasive, like an electric shock. Now, with this understanding, let's try to pre-think the word that can fit in the blank space. We know from the context that these stimuli, though meant to be harmless, are not as effective as they should be. They distract from the discomfort but don't relieve it as much as expected. The word to complete this sentence should reflect the idea that these stimuli are perceived as weak, but that weakness is not actually helpful. A word that could fit here might describe that these stimuli are ineffective, but not in a beneficial way. Right? They're harmless, but they're not effective, right? Not in a beneficial way. Now, with this understanding, let us go ahead with our option elimination. Deceptive means something that misleads, right? While these stimuli may not be fully effective, there is no indication that they are misleading in any way, right? They are effective though, right? Not as effective as it can be, but they are effective. So they're not misleading. So this is again, something that's not been stated in the text. So this is irrelevant. Let's go to B now. Innocuous. What is the meaning of innocuous? It means harmless or not likely to cause harm. This fits well with the context because this text is describing how these stimuli, that is vibration or warming, seem harmless but they offer less relief. So this is the most logical word that I can think of as of now, right? So let's hold on to B and let's go to C. What is the meaning of novel? Novel means something that is new or unusual. Now, the text doesn't suggest that these stimuli are new or different, rather. It focuses on their lack of effectiveness. Correct? I don't know about the newness of this. So, this choice is incorrect because it's again irrelevant to the text. The text is not saying anything about the newness of this. Impractical means something that is not effective in practice or not useful. Although this word could seem like a good choice, the text does not suggest that the stimuli are impractical. Rather, it emphasizes that they are less relieving. It's a comparison that they are doing. So, this word is not as precise as innocuous. Therefore, this choice can also be eliminated because this is only partially correct. Or you can also say that the text is not so extreme. So, very clear cut answer, innocuous makes sense. Alright, you've made it to the end. Now you know exactly how to tackle those tricky words and context questions on the digital SAT. Remember, the key is always to use context clues, pre think the meaning before checking the options, and eliminate answers that don't fit logically with the text. The steps that you need to follow is read the sentence carefully, spot the keywords or phrases that give clues about the word's meaning, pre-think a word that fits before looking at the answer choices, and then go ahead and eliminate wrong answers confidently. That's all for now. Thank you so much.